John Jay College of Criminal Justice, the Department of Africana Studies, and the Department of Anthropology presented the Native American and African American Connection, Multiracial Cooperation in Historical and in Current Times, with Evan T. Pritchard, anthropologist, author of Native New Yorkers and No Word in Time, and now his new book, The Tapan.
Well, I'm going to talk about slavery and Native Americans and how there was cooperation between African Americans and Native Americans for centuries. Well, I have finished 44 books, most about Native Americans, and there's more on the way. They were a whole Lenape nation near here that were wiped out of history and also massacred in 1643. So this entire book is the first book ever written about the Tapan. Yeah, there's a map of the Tappan River, which is now called Tappan Slope, and that's right in Tappan Town in this is the long view of the Tappan territory. Going up here, it's like Bear Mountain, and down here it's Staten Island. But Sheikhbe is the original name of that whole part of New Jersey, the northeast New Jersey. The Tappan were one of those major tribes that were basically eliminated and then basically ignored by historians. My main website is algonquinculture.org.
Well, firstly, I would like to say welcome. Thank you for gathering with everybody. Thank you for coming today.
In 1609, September, they circled Henry Hudson and his crew, and they played the reed flute. So I will honor you in a similar way with the reed flute. Between different races, between Native Americans and African Americans in particular, and we'll say triracial. I like that term, as usually there's more than one or two, and so let's get right into that. Beginnings of this started when the Amistad came to Poughkeepsie, so I was asked to give a talk, and so there's some of the friends are not about Native Americans. Dr. Baldwin defends Sikwe, I believe it is. Sikwe was the leader of the revolt, and the rebels were being tried for murder. He found a translator, and suddenly their dramatic story unfolded, and a transcript from the slave ship Decorah, which was on the Amistad. But then Martin Van Buren didn't like those findings and found the Amistad, who found the rebels innocent, so he arranged to have him replace Sojourner Truth. New York created slaves in 1827, and she was a slave of the Hardenbergs. Her name was Isabel. She changed her name to Sojourner Truth in 1839, again the year of the Amistad Revolt. Her own son Peter was sold into slavery, and whose freedom was purchased by Sojourner, and she got into trouble, he was sent to work on a whaling ship called the Zone, and other African Americans. And Lincoln showed her the colored Bible of Baltimore when they met, which is illustrated and illuminated by the colored people of Baltimore, where it said, Baltimore was a fully multiracial city even then in the 1860s, and this book was given to him, a large book, and the drawing, as you see, was presumed to be this Bible. And of course, she said, well, if you do that book, you teach people of color how to read these books. So just remember that. Don't get too big on yourself. That's what she apparently said. She claimed to say that. In 1839, she was a spiritist inspired by a Lenape man, Poughkeepsie's own Andrew Jackson Davis, born in Blooming Grove, kind of Lenape hangout, author of the great Harmonia, the Bible of the American Spiritualist. She later moved to Harmonia's spiritual community in Battle Creek, Michigan. She died there in 1883. Read a book by Sally Roche Wagner called Sisters in Spirit, which records how the Haudenosaunee or Iroquois women mentored and trained the early suffragettes. Doing so later had to move to Detroit to avoid trouble. And that year, a preacher named Martin Luther King became president of the Montgomery Improvement. Chief Justice Earl Warren wrote that freedom to marry or not to marry a person of a race resides in that individual.
To enjoy Ivan Pritchard's entire lecture on the African American and Native American connection, please visit the John Jay College of Criminal Justice Facebook webpage. EvenTPritchard7@gmail.com for more information. Department of Africana Studies, John Jay College, 212-237-8764.